before I derailed it with some talk of shared memory, they were discussing asynchronous tracing. Do you want to speak to Mike?
All right, so yeah, this may be old hat to a lot of you, so we had a very small group, but we had started with a nice intro of how Chrome does asynchronous tracing. They use the terminology flow to identify a group of horizontally related tasks that may, A follows B follows C, or followed by B followed by C. And then we kind of talked about, so the Chrome technique is fairly manual. At the beginning of a flow, you have to allocate an ID. That ID has to be stored somewhere and passed from async operation to async operation. So we kind of talked about what the future might look like in higher level languages. We talked about Java, how you can decorate executors and futures and promises and have them automatically look up in thread local storage what is the current flow and attach the asynchronous operation to that, closing it when it's done. We talked about async await patterns in languages like Kotlin and Swift, and we talked about Go routines. They all have their own different view on tracing. We had a nice side discussion how Go has a nice module called tracing that doesn't actually let you trace anything, but is very nice if you work on Go and need to improve Go's own performance. So that was kind of an interesting learning. Let's see. Yeah, and the last thing we talked about was kind of self-closing asynchronous events. You may have a very short synchronous event that spawns off some very long-running asynchronous events and deciding when does that group begin and end. So we talked about different options, maybe synthesizing a top-level span that contains all of these things and that automatically closes itself when the final asynchronous operation is done. But yeah, that was our learnings, and yeah, I think there's a lot of work there. I think the TLDR was like, you have to make the APIs that instrument your asynchronous operations look exactly like the old ones, maybe with a instrumented or decorated name, and then forbid your developers from using the uninstrumented ones, or else they're just going to go back to their old habits and make non-traced code. Unless you're the Chrome team, who's really smart, clearly. Yeah, that's it.
Cool, thanks. Okay, thanks. All right, so I think that concludes the Day2 Tracing Summit. Thanks, everyone. So a couple of notes. Everyone, think of your favorite tracing analysis or visualizing or tool or tracing tool and bring it tomorrow for the demo, where we're going to have lots of short demos to discover all the cool tools. And also, a bunch of us are going for a pizza at 6, or we're going to arrive at the place at 6. So if you want to join with that, stay here, and we will leave probably before 5:30 around then. Okay? Any other questions? Going once? Okay. So in that case, we'll be back here tomorrow at, I believe, 9:30 for the badges again, and then kicking off from 9:30 for the badges, and then kicking off at 10:30. I claim, with Vincent's talk. Cool? All right, big thanks to all the staff here and the AV staff.